Hi, guys, and welcome to My Ex Appeal, Your Everything Divorce podcast. My name is Joey Camaro, and I'm here with
Mandy Baker.
And we are the friends that you didn't know you needed. So, Mandy,
here we are. We're back again.
You know what? And for anybody who listens to us, welcome back. And if it's their first time here, we say welcome to the party, bitch. So, Mandy, today we're going to be talking to a mindset and energy coach. But before we get into that, I would like to address the fact that I am wearing a jacket that looks like I bedazzled it. Did you notice?
I was thinking that. I didn't want to say. I was thinking that when you popped on camera today.
I wanted to just address
that one. She pulled that one out from the archives. Is where she pulled that jacket from.
I straight up just ordered this.
No way.
Yep.
Joey and Mandy, everything divorce related. We can put the S back in your ex appeal. Joey and Mandy, the friends you didn't know you needed on My Ex Appeal, and Everything Divorce podcast.
Okay, listeners, we are so excited. We have a guest. We love when we have guests, Mandy, don't we?
I do love, not that I don't love talking to you, Joey. I just love the knowledge and the experience and
I do too.
That
I know
our guests bring.
We need it. We need it. We need the help. So today we have Emily Evans Russell, and this is going to be, I love that we're going to be talking about this because I love learning new things, but we're going to be talking to Emily. She's a master mindset and energy coach.
I like the combo, coach.
Because what I'm trying to say, Emily, is that you are a host of your own podcast. Do you see how I put it all together?
Yeah.
Shift Your Vibe to Thrive podcast host. So welcome to the show, Emily. We can't wait to learn more about what you do and who you are.
Thank you, ladies, so much for having me. I'm so excited for our conversation. It's already turning out awesome.
It's going to be full of giggles. I love it.
Yep.
I love it.
She's a coach.
She's a coach. So, Emily, talk to us about who you are and how you came into helping other people shift their energy. Like, how did your energy shift in order to help others shift?
Yeah, I've always been a pretty upbeat, positive person from the time I was a kid. And so what I've found in my life is that so serves you when you go through big changes, whether it be divorce or other things. It's all about your context shift and the perspective you see things through. So I was a high school biology teacher years ago, and then I had my daughters and did not want to go back to teaching, although I loved it. It's a little stressful being a high school teacher. And then I was like, I don't think I want to go home to my baby after a day of all this. So then I really started exploring the things I did personally, like yoga, meditation, energy work, mindset work, more on a professional level, because I was looking at what can I do and really be present with my kids. You know, at the time I was married, and I started exploring that and growing that side where I could really help other people also use tools to move through big changes in their life with a lot more positivity, energy, like different perspective.
Well, sure. And having a baby is a massive energy change because you have to keep that person alive.
And you're
for real.
You're divorced too, Emily, right? Are you a divorcee as well? Okay, so welcome to the club, right?
Yeah.
The divorce club. So not only are you helping, mostly females, we help mostly females, but you've kind of walked in those shoes as well. So I think it's a little bit, for me, when someone offers me help, I like that somebody went through it too, so they can lead with empathy, not just kind of just tell you what to do.
Yeah. And I mean, I've been divorced now since 28, separated in 2017. And I remember we went to counseling a few times before we got divorced. And the woman said to me, I just want to let you know, divorce is the #1 indicator of poverty in women. And I said, well, thank you for that fact. And that will not apply to me. But it was kind of one of those moments where I realized, wow, so many women, also that financial piece is really quite scary when you're going to go out on your own. And I was looking at transitioning from, here I was used to getting paid as a teacher, then I was a stay-at-home mom, and then I was just starting my business. So really to go out as an entrepreneur and go, I still know I'm going to make this, even though I'm going to be on my own. I knew it was that energy and future, like when I looked at it, was more expansive than staying in a marriage where I wasn't happy. And I didn't want to have my kids go through that either and see that as an example.
Well, and how scary that had to be, because as an energy coach, I can imagine you see it in other people, right? You see their potential, you see where you can see them going, right? Because you hear all of the things that they're telling you, but how crazy to have to do that for yourself, because you have to be coach and client at the same time. Like, do what your coach says to do. Well, my coach is you. I don't have to do what you say,
And
we all go through that though.
Yeah, like to have to be both is really tough.
To have to be both.
You have to give a lot of energy to people and then also keep yourself on track too. So which is so Mandy and I come from the fitness industry as well. So we know teaching and even teaching yoga, you have to give a lot of energy for people to receive that energy. So you're doing that behind the scenes and then trying to keep your life together at the same time. And that's a huge leap for anybody to make that leap from getting paid to being an entrepreneur, being married, let alone now being divorced and having to do that leap. So that's crazy. Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. You're good.
Well, I was going to say, I was the one that chose to get divorced. It was of my initiation. And then after divorce, I just a year ago, I was in a relationship for then about 5 years. And that one I wouldn't have been the chooser to get out of that one. So I've sort of walked through both. I think you're in a different position, whether you're the one that initiates it or not. Mm-hmm. But through all that, I really find, yes, you give a lot of energy when you coach and teach, as you know, but it also really, I make sure I've walked through something and have healed that before I coach or teach that. So I have that experience. And I also find it gives me a lot of satisfaction and fulfillment to be able to assist others to move through things. So yes, it uses energy, but I find it fills it up even more.
That's so cool.
Like a big circle.
Yeah.
Full circle. Yeah. And I love that you said that you heal before you teach, because that makes sense. Yeah. You need to do that. I love that. I love it. Mandy, did you want to talk about what you were going to say?
Yeah, I was going to ask my first question, which was really, how do you help someone shift their mindset? Like, what does that look like as from your end and then from the client's end too? Because I can imagine, I remember going through my divorce and I would talk to anybody that would listen. I was seeing a therapist. I was calling friends. I was like, who's on my side? And nobody really knew how to be like, pull your big girl panties up, Mandy, and just deal with it and move on, So what does that look like from your side as a coach, and then from your client's side too?
Yeah.
Like how do you move them through?
Well, let's go with a good example that comes up with divorce is the concept of loss, that you've lost something. So one of the things I do in a lot of my work is speak to the subconscious. So like multi-level communication is going on, because consciously we can understand, hey, I know I have a new life ahead of me, but I'm really missing this person, or I'm feeling this loss. So a different context to look at loss from is you can't actually lose anything that you've ever had or experienced. You're always going to have those experiences in time with the person you're with. It would be impossible to lose that. And you also can't lose anything in the future that you haven't yet had.
Oh, okay. Look at that. Okay.
And when we start to see that through that perspective, then, okay, what do you have? Well, you're in the present and you can make new choices and enjoy this moment and add things to your life that, you're interested now in new people and new community. But when the mind gets, okay, wait, I can't lose anything that happened. That's always part of me and mine. And what our conscious mind will tend to do is, well, that shouldn't have happened, or he shouldn't have done that. And when our conscious brain thinks that, our subconscious mind goes, oh, well, if you're telling me that shouldn't have happened, then I'm going to set out to try to make it not happen. But you can't go back in the past to change something.
Right.
Right. But the subconscious doesn't know that. It doesn't have a sense of time, past, present, or future. It's not logical. It just hears your brain thinking thoughts and goes, oh, okay, well, then I must need to create a connection with this person if you're missing them, if I feel like I'm missing somebody. So the mind, the only way it has to cause you to take an action are thoughts, feelings, emotions, habits, sensations in the body. So if you're feeling sad, if your body's hurting, your mind isn't trying to hurt you. It's getting you to, it wants to either get you to move towards something or away from something, depending on what your brain is thinking. So if it's like, they shouldn't have done that, then often your mind's like, okay, let's go back and make them not have done that. But then it can't happen, but you're going to feel all these feelings like resentment or anger. It's just trying to get you to do something. And when you realize, I can't go back in the past and change that, and I also have a lot of great things I can't lose, and the future, I can't lose anything that hasn't happened. So what I'm going to do is start creating my life and my future how I desire it.
Oh, I love that. And there must be, and when you're thinking he shouldn't have done that or that shouldn't have happened, all you're doing realistically is just frustrating yourself, right? And you're not able to move on. So it's like a vicious cycle.
And so this is a really easy tip I want to give listeners for that. Those are very normal thoughts to have, right? And feelings to have. One of the things you can say to yourself, which the unconscious, subconscious mind gets, is there's nothing to do about that right now. There's nothing for me to do about that right now. There's no action to take, because what the mind is trying to do is get you to take an action. That's impossible, right? I can't go back yesterday and put on a different pair of pants. Either can another person. Like that's what happened. So when you literally just simple sentence, there's nothing to do about that right now. There's no action for me to take. The mind will stop giving the input, and that could be a feeling of frustration, a feeling of anger, because now it knows, oh, okay, there's nothing to do right now. It's so simple and can alleviate a lot of stress.
That's so true, because you just took me back to a time during my divorce that I was sitting in the carpool line, picking up my 2 elementary school kids, and I was in a full-blown panic attack over something that hadn't happened, but I was going through something in my head with him. And I literally sat there and I was like, you're sitting in the carpool line. Your car is stuck. You're not even driving.
You're safe. Yeah.
You're safe.
Yeah.
Like, you're safe. You're okay. And you better get your shit together, because the 2 kids are about to get in this car and you can't lose your kudos. Like, pull it together. But that's so great. That is such a great tip.
That's a great tip.
Great mantra. You can put it in your car. You can put it on your mirror. Put it on your phone. Have it be your alarm when your phone goes off to have it come in.
Yeah.
You know?
That's a good way. That's a good perspective.
Yeah, because in those
Absolutely.
moments, like when you're in your car and you're thinking, this is stupid, I know I shouldn't be having this, but then we start to get angry at ourselves, where really, like, whatever you are recalling, when events really impact us or leave trauma in some way, it doesn't have to be a big, giant trauma, anything that was very important to us. It's like taking your hand and, when you push it in the sand, it leaves an imprint. Well, if I look at the sand, the imprint's still there. It doesn't know the hand's not there. Same thing with the subconscious. Those moments stick like that. So you're not wrong. The mind's reading it as this is happening right now or about to happen. So when you let the mind know, hey, and there's other, like, you can go deeper and really like kind of basically wash away that handprint, but you're not wrong. Your mind's just telling, like, something triggered it. It came up. It thinks it's happening. And then your mind starts racing of how to stop it. Yeah.
Oh, wow. I have therapy tomorrow, and I can't wait to talk to him about this, because that, that whole sand thing, a light bulb just went off in my head. That makes so much sense, because I'm full of anxiety all the time. So, so with that said, because that kind of leads into this first question, there's misconceptions people have about divorce and how it's the end for them, basically. So what are other common misconceptions that females especially have about their divorce and how their life is going to end? What are some things that they're thinking that you've seen?
I don't know if I can speak for everybody, but I think common ones are, oh my God, I'm going to be alone forever. I'm never going to find anybody again. Now that if you've had children, now I have kids, I'm going to be even more undesirable. How am I going to support myself? What's next? Like, what am I actually what's going to happen? And I think a key thing, whether it's a marriage or a relationship, is that we start to actually ask, what is true for me that I have not yet discovered? Because when we're
Oh.
in relationship, like even what you're ordering on your pizza, so many choices are made in a unit. And I think that, oh my gosh, it's the end feeling can come from, yeah, that phase did end, but it's a life cycle. Like we don't look at a plant and think, oh, when it's blooming is the only great time. It's like it's a life cycle. And we put a lot of meaning to that end rather than that cycle is complete. It's just complete. And now now is the time to plant new seeds so something else can grow. And you get to do it from this new space of, wow, if I were creating my life and what's true for me, what would I actually like to choose here? What would I add? Who would I add? And that, I think any actions towards that, and really action is key, not just thinking it, but like taking a moment to call a friend or start Spanish lessons or anything that excites you, because you start to rewire the brain with new pathways. It's a new part of your life. It is a new phase. So the brain is used to like functioning in these ways with a partner in a marriage. So, okay, let's start rewiring the brain. It's called neuroplasticity. We have this amazing way that our brain can continue to rewire itself as throughout our entire lives. And the key way to do that is through action, like taking some actions in the new direction. And it's okay if you feel like crap for a while. That's normal. It's not like you have to be gung-ho from that's part of it. You don't have to be like that all the time, but even tiny things like 5 minutes a day, 10 minutes a day will really change things.
And I think you can see that with some, because, half of marriages end in divorce, but I think you can see that in the people that take the path of, I'm going to take a minute, I'm going to heal, I'm going to scream into the pillow in the closet. I'm going to, do all these small little things for myself to get better day by day. And then you see the other path of like, why is she posting that of herself? Like, does she not know she looks like a fool? Like, someone go save this poor person who's lost, right? The divorced moms that do get lost, and that can happen. You can go down a path where your friends and family, you look different to them. It's not who you are. You once were conservative, and then all of a sudden you're posting pictures of you dancing on a table at a nightclub and you think it's cool, and everyone's like, what is she doing? Yeah, not me. Like, I haven't done my mind.
Yeah, if it's a new time at a nightclub, I'd be there.
Yeah, exactly.
Right, afternoon. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. The 1 o'clock. But I think that's hard because we see those people, we know that they have a new life. It's just they kind of care enough to go grab it.
Yeah. I really appreciated the friends in my life, and there were just a few, but the ones that met the divorce with saying, congratulations. Like, I know that there's no way that could have been an easy choice or is easy, but I also want to celebrate that you've made it and you do have something on the horizon that's better, rather than, oh, I'm so sorry for you. And I really appreciated that perspective because it honored, no, it's not a choice, an easy choice for anybody, but hey, it is a congratulations and I'm here for you. I think the key, no matter what's going on, is knowing, like, having a safety net, which are the people, women, that could be men too, friends in your life, family, so that, are you going to have hard days? Yes. Are you going to fall? Yes. That's not a if. It's absolutely. And the difference is what's going to be, like when we talk about athletes, your comeback rate. And your comeback rate depends on the support you have in your life. I just heard a woman speak, and she had done a trapeze class, and I really loved this analogy because she said, hey, before they even teach you how to fly and get up on the bars, they spend the entire first morning showing you how the safety nets are hooked up, showing you that when you fall, this is how you fall, and then you get up. And I thought that's such a great analogy for when you're going through a divorce or any change, is there's going to be days, weeks, whenever it shows up where you are falling or you have fallen. And it's so key to grow that sense of support. And it might be new people that you need to add to your life. If other people are like, I don't know about what just happened here, then widen that circle so that you're supported.
So smart.
Yeah, it really is. And
So smart.
I'm sure people go through a divorce, and like you were speaking about earlier, where, there's all these good things that can come out of this. It's not the end. And I know for me, it was almost like when I was in the marriage, I dreamt of those things. I thought of all those things. But then when it was happening, I thought, shit, this is way too hard. I need to go back to what my life was, you know? And then I had to get over that dark hump to get to those things. But there was a short period of time that I was like, forget all those things. I just need to go back and be in the house with my kids and, you know, make sure everything's not difficult for everybody. So it is, you need people around you to get over that and steer the course.
You do. I love that, because we actually will always quit on ourselves unless we put ourselves in a position or have people around us where they're like, hey, keep going, because our mind will always choose safety. And safety is going back to what I know. And just know that that is always what our mind is programmed to do. So it's so key to like put yourself in a situation or have people around you where you basically can't quit on yourself. You're going to like, when you have a hard moment, it's going to come up, then have a person to call or something, you know, so that you can move through it. Because to have a greater life on the other side of anything after divorce, it's going to be new. And there is going to be uncomfort, because something new is uncomfortable. But beyond that is greater. So you're going to walk through that bit, but it's going to be faster and easier if you're supported and you have a network and you know how to reach out and not give up on yourself.
Absolutely. Emily, did you teach while you were going through your divorce? Did you teach yoga?
Yeah. I wasn't teaching yoga at the time. I was more doing like this, like coaching and online classes and sessions. Yeah. Yeah.
Because I know for me, the escape was what I was teaching, because I couldn't do anything else.
Me too.
For those 45 minutes, the phone could not ring. I had to pour myself into the class. I had to pour myself into entertaining others so they could escape. And in their escape, I was able to escape, because you can't tell someone to squat or throw kickboxing punches and be like, so anyway, yesterday my ex, you know.
Yeah, you don't have time.
You don't have time.
Yeah. And you get the like we talked about with the energy, you're giving energy, but energy is coming back.
Energy's coming.
I mean, what other job do you have where people clap for you at the end of your shift, you know, but they clap for you and you have a little boost like, oh, okay, I think things aren't so bad, you know?
Yeah.
So it is good.
Yeah. And you guys in fitness know, I think it's a great example, because I did my yoga practice regularly, and anything with your body, because your body is what holds a lot of the trauma, the emotion, everything going on. And so when you take some time, it doesn't have to be an hour-long workout, but anything with movement that connects you, because it does get you out of your head, and it really speeds up the healing process, because you're present and you're not thinking about everything, whether you're the teacher or the student, or just going on a walk or hanging out with the tree and taking your dog for a walk, anything where you're like in your body present and not up in your mind driving yourself crazy.
Oh, right. Absolutely.
And how old are your girls, Emily?
They're now 11 and 14.
Okay. Oh, you're right with me.
Okay. Yeah, you're with Mandy. Oh, the older kids. But I do think that kids, although I was so afraid for them, like that was my main reason for being so afraid. And I think Mandy has mentioned that as well, I'm sure, for you too. So, but also having them was healing as well too, because they were sad, but I think kids are just more optimistic anyway.
They're resilient.
Yeah. So it was good to have them around to keep me distracted as well too. But not everybody has kids going through a divorce, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah. I so agree, because they really helped me. And I remember a friend saying to me, because I was looking to get divorced, and I grew up in the Midwest where you just hang on to a marriage forever, even if it's not good. And I talked with a friend. She said, well, if you already know, it's actually easier the earlier do it. The kids are more resilient the younger they are. And I had never heard that perspective. And I actually looked at it. And now that my kids are older, you know, my younger one was about 3 or 4 when I chose that. And she is the one that's less affected than my older one. She's like,
yeah,
I don't remember you guys, you know, together too much anyway. So it's just so different. It really depends on who you're talking to and what their advice is. So you have to go, what actually is true for me, you know, in my life, and if you have kids, and with my family. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, we had we blended families with my now husband, and when we first blended families, his youngest was 4, so he knows nothing else. He thinks that he just has 4 parents, and this is completely normal, and this is just a part of his life. Where my kids were teenagers, but I think it's all how you make it too. You know, I was lucky enough; my exes he moved on and he found someone else and we all get along. And so, you know, our kids are all fine because we made it that way. No one's talking bad about each other, and we could. There's days where I want to.
For sure.
Yeah.
It's interesting. Casey came home the other day, Joey, and Emily, and she's my youngest. She's about to turn 12 next week. So she's 11. And she said something in the car and she was like, yeah, so at my parents' house. At your parents' house? Yeah, with dad and my stepmom. And I was like, okay. And I kind of let it sit. I didn't say anything, kind of let it sit for a second. And then we were going to the grocery store and I said, can I ask you a personal question? She was like, always. I said, what am I? If you have your parents' house, what am I? And she was like, oh, you're my mom. And I was like, okay.
Just wanted to check.
Just wanted to make sure. I didn't lose any crowd there. Whew, I'm the mom. Got it. You know,
but it's good that she's comfortable enough to say that. And,
and
that's good.
I was just kind of curious. I was like, what am I? Like, hold on. you know, because that kind of hits you in a weird way.
Yeah, it's like a mom thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You go to my parents' house. What?
Yeah, you're like, I'm a parent.
I'm a parent too, but now she gets parents' house and mom's. Like it's so great. And her
totally
she's like, yeah, I just get more. Okay, great.
Yeah, this is awesome.
When we first got divorced, I moved into an apartment like most. Like I felt like the woman who rented it for us, she's like, everybody comes here when they get a divorce. So, and I had said to her, I said, my daughter's having my son, I told him that I would buy him an Xbox or something like that. And so he was okay with the divorce after that. And I told him he'd get more Christmas presents and he was like, okay, good. Right. So he moved on, but my daughter had a hard time with it. And so I happened to be talking to the rental agent. She was a young girl, like early 20s. And she was like, I'll talk to her for you. Bring her here. So I'm like, okay. So we brought her to like walk her around the apartment and she was like, Clara, I just want you to know that my parents are divorced as well. She was like, and I know it's really hard for you right now. She's like, but someday she's like, you're going to, get mad at your mom and you'll be like, going to dad's. And then you're at your dad's and you get mad at him, going to mom's. She's like, and it's going to work. I mean, I can't even believe that this young girl, I mean, that was like a game changer for us. Just having that one person changed the whole course of how my daughter looked at it.
Isn't that amazing? And that's the kind of thing is if people show up like that, they really do. And it can be those little conversations that you don't have to know at all as the mom, like you will not. And to have people in your life that can add in those conversations and different perspectives is so helpful.
It is helpful. So Emily, how do you help people like rediscover? So they come to you, they're lost, they're looking for an energy shift. And they, I can imagine that some divorced women come to you and say, I don't know who I am or what I like to do anymore because I haven't had a minute to even take a shower by myself without being interrupted by the narcissistic ex or whatever. That word is so overused right now, but by my ex-husband or by the kids, by the dog. How do you help them re-steer and redirect into who they truly are in their true self and their higher self and their energy? What does that look like?
Yeah, I start with, a couple of the questions that I think we even mentioned earlier in the show is I really say, hey, it doesn't have to be a lot, but can we start with 5 minutes a day? And ask questions, because when you ask a question like, okay, this is my new phase of life, that what is true for me, I have not yet discovered. And you don't have to figure that out logically, because what happens when you ask a question, our subconscious mind is designed to go out and find the answers to that. Like it's a evidence seeking machine. So it's going to go out and go, okay. And so it's working in the background to find things like that for you. And then it's this process of following that little nudge, that little whisper, or like that feather touch where someone recommends a book to you. Hey, I think this might be helpful. Or you're going on YouTube or Instagram and you're pulled towards something that makes you lighter. That is key. Not pulls you down a rabbit hole of like, oh, I can commiserate with this person, but more like really adds to you. And just to ask those questions and start adding little bits of time for yourself. And it could be, like you said, you don't have time for your day, you can't even shower. Give yourself 5 minutes where you turn your phone off and you turn the external noise. The world is so loud. Turn off your phone and your computer. And I don't care if you just sit there and you close your eyes for 5 minutes or do a little bit of breath work, like a simple inhaling for 2, exhaling for 4. Like if you double the count of your exhale, it's a signal to your whole body that I'm safe, everything is okay, and I can relax. And it will almost instantly rewire you. And from that place, you're a lot more clear. So little things like that, and starting to make choices that are different. So if you find yourself, you always react in a certain way, or you're in a situation and you tend to do one thing, I tell people just do anything different. And part of what that's doing is it's getting you to move towards what is not your comfort zone to anything different. It doesn't have to be the opposite, but it can be like, okay, I'm having a fight with my kid. They're yelling at me about this. I would normally say this back. The choice could be just to get yourself a glass of water, like do something different, just to start to get out of the patterns and the habits that we've been in, so you can start to see new possibilities. And one of my other questions I love people to ask is, what else is possible I've never considered before? And again, that's not one you could sit down and try to make a list of that, but that's more an asking, what else is possible here? And the subconscious will literally start to find things for you that are new. And then it's that little bit of taking an action. So I tell people, just if you can make one choice or take an action today that's for you, just you, and doesn't take into account everybody else and everything else that's going on. Like if you could just do something because it was fun, it didn't have a purpose, like it was just for you.
Yeah.
And that's a muscle to work, because we as women are also so used to taking care of everything and handling all the details. And if I have a hobby, it's for some purpose, it's like to work out and get, look better, but like what's just for fun? It doesn't actually have a purpose. You can start adding little bits of that. Yeah.
Because you need that too, especially if you're a mom and now your kids are going to your ex's house, maybe on the weekends or whatever you're parenting, and now you're just sitting in silence and you think that's what you want, and then it happens, and then your mind just goes bananas.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it does. Yep.
That's a weird first weekend.
That's a weird
first weekend.
Yeah. And it can still be weird. Like, that's why it is so key to really look at what nurtures me. Because if you don't have that, you're going to either like latch on your kids and end up making them your primary relationship, which they're not meant to be your primary relationship, or you're sad. And it's like, there's no need for that. There's so much out there. But also I tell women, be gentle with yourself, like be compassionate. It's like, as you would speak to a child, or as you would imagine, God would speak to you, or the universe or source, whatever people call that. But there's a tenderness and an understanding we have for others that we often don't have with ourselves. And I said, just take a moment when you find, you're beating yourself up in your head, like pause. If a child came to you with this, what would you say back to them? And have that compassion with yourself.
That's so true, because we don't.
It is. We don't.
Because you go into that guilt, you go into that blame, and women are the majority of the sexes that pursue the divorce. So we feel that guilt all of a sudden when we pull the plug, and then we see the changes, and we're like Joey said, like, whoa, hold on, maybe I should just go back.
I had two, so when people call our mediation practice, it's 99% the female that calls us first. And they're usually just, all the time it's the female. And I mean, I don't know why, but I'm assuming it's because I think sometimes the husband's just kind of complacent and doesn't want his life to change. He's not happy either, because once they both come in, he's usually like, yeah, like, I know why this is happening, but they didn't initiate it. But on Friday, I talked to 2 females on the phone that are going through a divorce, and both of them said, I have a black cloud over my head. So that's their 2 in one day. They both said that same thing. And I was like, wow, you're the second person to say that to me today, and just trying to talk them through it, that this isn't it feels like that darkness is what's happening now because you're going through it, but it's going to move. It's you don't have a black cloud over your head. It just feels that way.
And the feeling, a great, like a tip for that is a context shift, right? Because when you're in it and you have the black cloud, we're wired to look at what everything is wrong, right? And that's actually how our brain is wired. Like if we were on the savannah and you don't scan the savannah and notice all the pretty grass, you notice the lion that's out there about to eat you, right? That's what the brain is supposed to do. But that's the key to start appreciating and noticing what is going well, what is working. And this can be a tough exercise, but I also have people, and I've done this for myself when I have those times, is write your story from a different perspective that someone else would go, oh my gosh, I'd love to be in her shoes. Because there's a way you can write your story that way. Right now, you're seeing, because our mind is designed to do that, all of the hard things and the dark things. But if you were to step outside yourself and go like, oh my gosh, you get weekends on by yourself without kids. Like, like you said, there's things that when you're on the other side sound great. So how would you rewrite that from a place of someone else would go, wow, that would actually be really good to be in her shoes right now. And it's a total context shift, and it will get you out of there because it's just how you're seeing something and the beliefs you have that make it how it's showing up, but you can change all that.
Yeah, that's weird that you say that, because I found myself at a Christmas party this year and we were talking about kids, and you see some people at Christmas parties once a year and they were like, so how are things going? I was like, oh my gosh, we're so blessed. We get the kids every other week. And I'm talking to these two exhausted parents that are running to sports and doing all these homework all the time. And I'm like, no, I get a week off every other week and it's great. And they're like, wait, what? And I'm like, no, I don't recommend going through the shit, but I do recommend that there is a silver lining to it all.
Yeah.
I have a great relationship with my kids. They get a break from me. I get a break from them. And they're learning how to fly without mom. They're learning how to make decisions and fail on their own. And that's a whole different podcast subject, but it is interesting when you flip it and you're saying it to someone that they do go, hold on, that sounds like a really great gig.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard to see when you're going through it, like those females that I talked to, because even one of them said, she's like, oh, I'm going on a cruise, in a couple weeks, but she's not seeing that. I mean, she's happy to go, but that's not, for her, that's like minuscule compared to the dark things that are happening in her life, but people would love to go on a cruise. There would be people who would love that and can't, and they're married.
Yep.
So,
and that's when you're in those dark cloud moments, it's like, have compassion that you need to experience that, and be with it and move it through. And so, but it's all part of the process and we all go through it differently, but to really appreciate the things that are working and that you do have, like, hey, I'm not super excited. This cruise wouldn't be as exciting as it was, if it has a different sorrow, but I'm still going on a cruise and I'm going to at least get some sun and appreciate reading a book. Like, okay, I'll at least like it for that,
Well, and talk about cutting the world out. Don't you have to cut the world out when you're on a cruise? Or do they have, I don't know. I've never been on one.
No, I think Wi-Fi is better now on cruises.
Caught up.
You're still in the middle of the ocean. You're still not near land a lot of times, which is crazy in itself. So with that said, so I know that you've given so many amazing tips. I don't know, Mandy, were you taking notes? I was taking notes. But
I don't even know. I'm going to have to go back and organize them all. They're all over the page.
I'm looking around in circles. But so these were all great tips. Do you have any... So I guess to have a mindset shift isn't easy for anybody to be like, oh, just shift your mindset. And you're like, oh, okay, cool. Right. But for some people going through it, it's a difficult thing to do. What are some, say I was divorced yesterday, my divorce was final. What are some practical steps I could take tomorrow to just put one foot out there and move on with my life or pick up the pieces or rebuild?
Well, when you say that, the first thing that comes to my mind is connect with somebody, anyone. Like if it's and someone that doesn't have judgment is key. A lot of really good friends and family mean super well, but have a lot of judgment of choices. So if you have a person in your life that can just go, hey, I see you, I get it, it's hard, and not gonna insert their point of view or judge you for what's going on, reach out to them, spend time with them. I think that's the first key, is like building that safety net that we talked about. So having people and reaching out to them for those people that are going to really just see you and not have to feel like they have to rush in and fix everything. but they can just listen.
Right. Just
I
like
love
a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
Somebody that you can just hang out with.
A cup of coffee. And then I would say, like we mentioned, and then 5 minutes for you where you might just cry in the shower. You know, you might, and that's okay. But 5 minutes to give yourself space to go, whatever's coming up right now, I may want to scream, I may want to cry, or I might just want to like take a few deep breaths, but giving yourself that grace. Because if it's that fresh, it's like we need to really care for ourselves. And then have someone around, to also help with that.
Absolutely. And then how do you help? I know you're saying, and this is probably exactly what you just said, create that sense of optimism. So taking those 5 minutes and really tapping into that gratitude. Do you have a book, or do you have, I know you offer a lot of sessions on your site for your clients, but is there a go-to resource to reset that gratitude and reset that optimism so that if you are lost and don't know where to start and how do I reflect, do you have something that you point people to?
I actually have a 21-day free gratitude challenge that I forgot. As you say that, I'm like, I do have some,
Okay.
have that.
Perfect.
It's EmilyEvansRussell.com/gratitude.
Okay.
Each day you get a short like email with a question or a quick tool of how to like implement that. So I think that would be where I would start. And like I said, just that simple thing. Is there one thing that you can appreciate and notice where you are supported? And it could be as simple as putting a Post-it note by your sink or by your toilet. Like, I have water. I actually have the things that are necessary for me to be alive. I have food in my fridge. It can literally be as simple as that, because our mind's looking for, oh my gosh, I'm unsafe, I'm not taken care of. Look where you actually are supported. And simple things like, I have air to breathe. That's why taking a few breaths and being present with it actually reminds us, wait, I have air, I have food, I have water. I'm actually safe here. I'm okay. I'm supported. And then you can add on to that, like other things you appreciate or you're grateful for. But those basics are actually really key, because we just forget about it. We're like, yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
But when the mind, it's a subconscious really rewire to go, okay, I am actually safe and supported. I haven't been seeing my situation that way. So let me remind myself and remind the subconscious, hey, I'm actually okay. And from there, when you feel safe and your nervous system is regulated, you're going to be clearer in your thoughts, and your choices are going to be different because you're not doing it from survival mode. You start to go, okay, I'm actually okay. So I can switch from survival to thrival when I know my basic necessities are taken care of.
And that is a reminder at that time.
Mm-hmm.
So
it
true.
really is.
So it's so wild how our minds work, isn't it? Crazy.
Yep. It's crazy. And when you understand it, you're like, oh, you're not trying to work against me. Like, it's just doing its job. And when you just know these little flips, it can work for you.
That's so cool.
It's it's amazing.
Yeah, I love that. And it's work sometimes, especially when you're going through trauma and things like that, that not everybody is just born, I guess you're born optimistic, but maybe over the years, even before your divorce, you've had some trauma. So you're working through a lot more, and it takes work, and it's exhausting for people who don't have anxiety. Just so you know, it's exhausting having anxiety.
It is. And so, the other thing I just created for just women is, because it's exhausting, we're freaking busy, we have a lot going on.
Too much.
I created a program called Fearless Femme. And it's
saw that.
Yeah, it's 5-minute audios, Monday through Friday for a year. And for like the price of one massage. So you get a whole year of support, where I literally take these little things like this, like 5 minutes. I know you're busy, multitask, listen, so that you can feel supported and have some of these shifts, so that you can start to feel like, okay, I took 5 minutes for me today, and I have a new resource, and it's not overwhelming. It's not a lot of content, like with the fluff. Because I saw that need when I worked with a lot of women for, oh my God, I'm so overwhelmed that I want to change, but I don't know where to start. So I was like, let's make this something simple and really accessible.
So smart.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Honestly, perfectly. Accessible is great. And I'm glad you cleared up some things too, because energy, well, I called you an energy coach. Remember, I was trying to put them all together. But other than that, no big deal. I was like, first I'm like energy coach. Like, I'm like, I see you like going like this, and like there's lightning bolts coming out of your fingertips. Energy.
I know. It's like, I hate the title thing. I'm like, I'm not like, I guess I could just call myself a life coach and mindset, but it's so hard to like, how do you encapsulate all of it? But I like
It's
to
impossible.
work with women and all people, but my audience tends to be a lot of women, to shift your vibe, like your energy, while you go through, like while you enjoy your life. Because we're here to enjoy things.
Yes.
Are we going to have ups and downs? Yes. But like, we came here to enjoy people and relationships and the planet. So let's move in that direction and allow ourselves some grace while we're also doing that.
I love
Absolutely.
it. That's exactly. The grass still grows. The sun still comes up.
Mhm.
It's going to happen with or without you.
Yeah.
So you might as well get out there. That's the biggest thing. So I love that, Emily. So, okay. So let me give you some plugs here. So you have Shift Your Vibe to Thrive podcast, and that's on Apple and Spotify.
Sure.
Best way to get in touch with you, go to your website, you think, EmilyEvansRussell.com. Is that the easiest?
That's the easiest. And Instagram, I'm on all the time. So at Emily Evans Russell. I love to like send voice messages. People can DM me. They can leave a voice message of what's up. So I'm really active there as well.
Okay. They can slip into your DMs.
Exactly.
Slide right in there.
She loves saying
Love
that.
that term. I know.
She loves
Slip that
saying
in there.
that.
That's what the kids say. So I say
I
it.
do. I like it.
I know what the kids are saying. Mandy, don't laugh.
Yeah. Like
So-
when the
yeah,
kids,
she
the
did
other
She
night, I'm
did
at my
say
dog. Yeah, this or if I know the hashtag thing, you know how kids say hashtag and they throw in some like snarky thing. And I told my
Yeah.
girls I was going on this podcast and they're like, Mom, hashtag single ready to mingle. I was like, oh my gosh.
Hashtag. Meanwhile, I don't know how old you are, Emily, but when we were younger, it was a pound sign. So they don't even know what that is.
Exactly. Yeah. It was a pound sign to me. Yeah. Uh-huh.
That was a pound sign to me too. Oh my
We're going down
gosh.
that road. Well, thank you so much, Emily, for coming in. We'll have to have you back because
Yes.
you're fun. You are
This was
fun.
so fun. This is so
You're
fun.
one of us. You're one of us now.
Totally. I'm like, we could just have a chat. This is great.
I love it. Every Sunday.
Well, now I'm going to hear your voice every day because I'm going to listen to your everyday thing too. So
Awesome.
Me too. I signed up.
We'll hang up. What do you want? What do you want? An A+? You're to tell her that you signed up,
She's
Mandy?
multitasking. Oh, look at this.
I'm in. Like, I already signed up.
I didn't know she was talking about it. I was like,
I know.
yep,
You're good. You're good. That's amazing. All right. So I'll wrap up. All right. My X Appeal listeners, thank you for listening. And we will see you next time on My
Bye.
X Appeal.
Thanks to our listeners, sponsors, and our lawyers on my ex appeal and everything divorce.